On Friday, President Trump submitted his budget proposal to Senator Susan Collins, who chairs the Senate Appropriations Committee. Proposal outlines President Trump's vision and provides recommendations to Congress for fiscal year 2026. Lawmakers aren't required to follow President Trump's recommendations because Congress has power of the purse, but still, Trump has exercised remarkable control over the Republican-controlled Congress. So I think it gives us a glimpse of what we might see in the future in terms of policy. So the budget proposal only addresses discretionary spending. Overall, it keeps discretionary funding flat, although it shifts money from some categories and into other categories. So let's start with defense, because defense gets an increase of $119 billion. That includes a $1.1 billion increase in funding to combat veterans' homelessness, $2.9 billion into what's being called the America First Opportunity Fund to focus on investments to support some key partners such as India and Jordan, and also investments to counteract the influence of China. There's $500 million allocated to RFK Jr.'s signature Make America Healthy Again initiative, and then there's also $19.2 billion allocated for air and rail safety. Space exploration is also a big focus of the budget proposal. There's $647 million allocated for human space exploration research. There's $7 billion allocated for exploring the moon, and there's $1 billion allocated for Mars-focused programs, which of course are a pet project of Elon Musk. There's also a $60 million increase in funding for charter schools, which brings the total funding for charter schools up to $500 million. The cuts are mostly coming from non-defense spending. There's about a $163 billion cut in discretionary spending on non-defense items, which is a big reduction, nearly 23%. Which would bring total discretionary spending on non-defense projects down to roughly $557 billion. So where are the cuts? First of all, no surprise, DEI and other, quote, woke initiatives gone. Other cuts come from the National Park Service, climate science research, foreign economic and disaster assistance, foreign affairs and diplomacy, with the State Department getting a huge cut, UN peacekeepers. Some educational funding for schools is cut, but importantly, not Title I funding, that's maintained. Low-income home energy assistance program gets a big cut, $4 billion. That provides heating and cooling assistance to low-income people, and that is getting eliminated entirely in the budget proposal. NIH is getting a big, CDC would also get a big cut. Rental assistance would be cut. The IRS will have big cuts. Clean energy and electric vehicle charging programs reduced, nuclear energy and waste management, and then dozens of smaller agencies would be eliminated.